good day. It could be morning, evening, whenever you're watching this, but I'm so glad you're here. This is Tracy Brown, your somatic nutrition coach and intuitive eating body image specialist, and I'm here and to be with you today. And at first, before I even get going with it, I just want to say thank you all. It's going to take me all night, and that's a good problem to have, to say thank you so much for all the birthday wishes. I don't know if it's a big one or not, but I'm 40 today, and I think that's pretty awesome. It's pretty awesome. I'm 40, and there probably was a time that I didn't know, one, if I would make it that far, two, what life would look like, and three, I mean, it's just not that any life is perfect. We're humans. It's always going to be messy. There's always going to be happy, mad, sad, and afraid. But today I'm like, whew, I've lived about 2 or 3 lives in this 40 years. And you all that watch this might relate and feel the same way. So I'm probably just going to be a little rambly today, but I want you all to remember that wherever you are in your journey, so let's say you've been in recovery like one day, maybe you've been in and out of it for many years. Maybe, you're in a really good place and you just pop in here to like see what I'm up to, and maybe even support others with some of the stuff I say. I'm not for sure of everybody's why for being here, but I'm grateful you're here, and I really appreciate you watching, sharing, commenting, all that good stuff. So, what has happened for me? I'm going to talk a little bit about me, then I want to hear about what you all and how you're doing. So 22 years ago, I was at like probably one of the lowest points in my life in terms of like what I'm doing is not working. I know that I've got to do something different. And so I started, outpatient maybe a couple weeks before this week. And I actually ended up going inpatient for a little bit, and that was enough of an experience to recognize like, whoa, I don't want to continue having to do this. And as hard as it is, there's a level of like every single meal we choose to either be more attuned to ourselves, maybe eat something that the world says isn't quote unquote the most nutrient dense. I'm not going to even use the H word because I don't want to ruin this video. But I just want to let you all know that like every little tiny thing you do, whether it's showing up to these videos, whether it's journaling, and journaling is not your favorite thing, whether it's when I say I want you to find your feet and you do it, and then maybe you practice, maybe that's the only time a week you do it. Every single time you do something different from what that diet disordered voice in your head says to do, you're winning. I'll be really honest. So if that voice says like, oh, screw it, it doesn't matter what I do with my food anyway because maybe you feel like nobody cares, or people are going to be cruel and mean and ignorant anyway, but you say, but I care. Because that's why I do these videos, because I really care, because most of you I may never get to talk to in our live, on the phone, over video, whatever, but I really care, because as much up and downs as there have been for me, especially in the first, year recovery, and then really the 5 or 6 years after that, they weren't easy. They were rough. I'll be perfectly honest, but there was so much that I could see through all those times where I was just freaking out about food, freaking out that people are going to judge me based on like what I was doing with my food, my exercise, my eating, the eating in secret, the laying on the floor, crying, and beating myself up for what I ate or what I didn't eat or whatever. And then after all the eating stuff where, I didn't recognize that I needed to deal with my own, that's the tricky thing. And that's why I do the videos too, is to recognize that, if you're not binging as much or at all, or you're not restricting, or exercise is just like, it's just a thing that your body kind of feels like it wants to do and you have a good relationship with it, I really implore you, and this is a little bit of the thing that I'm making sure you recognize today, is that like all of it has a function. And I want you to I don't want it to take you a decade to recognize, oh my gosh, like this whole thing has a purpose, whether it's for safety, for regulation, for grounding me, for helping me, at least in my head, believe that this is something I'm good at or that I have going for me. I don't want you to believe those lies. I mean, it's temporary that it does that. But underneath that, it is still like the places that maybe are hurt and are lost and that need comfort. And that's what I want you to remember too, is that people switch. And that's something that it took me a lot longer, honestly, than recovery from an eating disorder to recognize. Is that like I could see it, because it's almost like once you've been in these shoes, you recognize like, wow, thinness really isn't better. It isn't a party. It isn't anything special or great. It's just genetic diversity. And I know that's harder if you're recovering in not a small body. I talked about my privilege probably 1,000 times. But, you know, you still are just left with like, well, who am I? And I want to encourage you all that you're somebody really wonderful and somebody really special. And it's your job to say, I care enough to like, I'm going to like know who I am. And if all you know who you are right now, past some of the behaviors is like, I think I like the color red and my favorite season is fall, or whatever you know that that's a really, really good start. And so you can see I'm walking you through a little bit of progression of what time was like without me actually saying it. So as you're doing all that, I want you to remember like, okay, there's a function for this. And if I can be curious and have compassion enough to let myself see that, what I'm going to see is actually what I needed all along. And that I want you to be aware that let's make sure that you don't put something in its place like I did, which is I was already kind of a perfectionist and workaholic before recovery. It got way worse. Because it's really easy, like, okay, diet culture stinks and it's ruined everyone's life, and it does. And it was something out there to be mad at, which was great. But then I didn't really fully look at all the things that had contributed to this sort of stuff in the first place. And here I am, like, in my mid-20s, you know, kind of trying to be the best at everything. And because this culture doesn't say like, excellence is great to shoot for, but it's okay to have fun and be silly and take a break and do some things you want to do. I had to unlearn all that too. So this is part of this journey, is truly coming home to yourself. And I want to remind you of all that. And that's why you all maybe have seen some of the little bit of the little things I've had out there about like my Attuned Eating for Attuned Living program. And the reason I'm talking about that is because I try to put in some modules. One, everything that I actually really, really try to teach and build a relationship upon with my clients live. I try to actually put those in videos that I recorded with all the handouts and all the things you need to like try to internalize and digest the tools and the skills you would need to support yourself through recovery. But also this nervous system piece, so you don't just switch to something else like isolating or overworking or whatever it is. And so, because I'm really, really, I see the big picture that a lot of us, the eating things are just the tip of the iceberg, and underneath that is all the things that we use these behaviors for. So I want you to know how to deal with that from a body-based level. So anyway, the reason I'm sharing with you is that the other thing that was missing from my own recovery that made it take, the time that it took, several years, is that I grew up in an area where there was just no good resources, and there was no internet. So, because it's been 22 years since I started this journey for myself, I created this Attuned Eating for Attuned Living program, and right now it's an investment of $22 a month for the next year. And every single month we join together in groups, but in live, and we process stuff. You got the Facebook group and you've got all the modules of stuff. So you can speed through it. It's like 12 modules. You could speed through it in 3 months. You can make it last a whole year depending on your learning style and what it is you're trying to accomplish. Or you might go through it again maybe 2 or 3 times to really hone in on like, what's my eating style, and if I'm in rebellion eating, how come that is, and what am I rebelling from? And we talk about self-care and reparenting and body image stuff, and actually how to figure out like how to match movement for wherever you are in your recovery process. And even giving yourself space to not to move your body without any judgment or guilt or shame about that. So there's a whole bunch of stuff, and I'm not really here to talk too much about it. I'm just really here still to like be present with you all and be here with you. So I'm going to hang out here for another few minutes. I would love to answer questions. If you want to hear about my own recovery, if you want like a quick little coaching from me about food, nutrition, body, whatever, do it here live. I'm going to have to hop off the rest of the day and do some other stuff because I won't be online most of the rest of the day. But if you have any questions, I want to be here to answer those. So I got some live people here, and I'm really always appreciative. I mean, I can't tell you, I've already had some tears today about just how many people, I guess, feel like I have something to say. So that's so important in the recovery process, is because we are speaking through our food, our movement, our bodies, possibly some of the things that we didn't know how to express long ago. And so for me to even have a voice to speak out loud to you guys is a part of that recovery process, to be able to talk on these videos, and I rarely ever have a plan. And clearly, a lot of my perfectionism is pretty healed because, half the time I have my wound up little cords that are in knots. I didn't shut the door back there. And most of the time I don't really have a big, huge agenda about what I'm going to talk about. Most of it comes pretty organic, and I do that on purpose because I want you to know that, like, there's no need to be perfect to be able to connect with people, to speak about something that you think might be of value or of use to others, and to serve in that way. So I want to be here for the next few minutes for you guys. If you have any questions, if you want to ask me anything about recovery, and if it's not something that I feel like is triggering, I'm an open book about that. But if anybody has any questions or want to hear about it, I think, what I do want to say real briefly is that, we often feel really alone in it, which is why I do these videos as well, to let you all know that, like, no, I mean, you're talking to a person who's probably seen and done about as much as you can imagine around this genre of food, diet, whatever land, recovery, and I've seen some things that really, 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 really work and help people, and I've seen some things like, oh my gosh, for real? Did that professional just say that? So if you've ever had some experiences where you're like, Tracy, is that right? Like, is that even helpful? Tell me about it, and I love to help. So anyway, I so appreciate you all being here with me. If you have any comments below you want to leave later, you can tag me. I'll put the link below about the program so you can read more about it if you're feeling like, I would like to just be around some other people. We had a group last month. I do like a live, and usually it's over an hour. Kind of just a process group, really. It's a support group. And again, we just showed up, not a big agenda. We could talk about the content from any of the modules we want to. And last time we just, I can say this without being overly disclosing about anybody, is that we just talked about the cost of perfectionism, and super powerful. And it doesn't matter what your size is, your shape is, what package your body comes in, gender, whatever. It's like I got lots of comments from people who couldn't come live and say, this isn't something that was my experience, but oh my goodness. These people were talking about some things that, I deal with, and I just thought that I was by myself. So that's the point. That's the point of meeting in that kind of co-regulatory kind of way, is that, like, you can feel the humanity of being with other people, and that's how we heal. That's why I do these videos. That's how we heal as a relationship. I don't know a person that recovered in a vacuum by themselves. And when I say recover, it doesn't have to be like, oh, I identify having an eating disorder. It's like, no, just living in this kind of food worried world. If you're not like that, you can feel like an outsider. If you actually are fighting really hard, or you maybe even have a really good relationship with food, it can be kind of awkward to, like, not be the one talking about food or weight or your bodies. And if there's a wound in us about feeling like on the outside or alone, we start to blame ourselves. And I want you to say, no, this is how we're supposed to be. It's just that we're in a world that's very asleep about this issue. And they don't, when I say they, again, this is not like, okay, we're so above because we're more self-aware. It's, we can do a lot of projection or a lot of internalization of like, well, I don't think like everybody else, so what's wrong with me? And our very highly sensitive natures can be like, okay, so what do I do? And this is too much. I'm going to say, no, stop. You're not too much. You're actually tuning into some truth here. But our job is to learn how to like have good boundaries so that we can walk in the world, know ourselves, be really solid in ourselves, and whatever it is we're doing with being more at peace with our food, our weight, or whatever, and moving forward. And that helps us have a whole lot more stability. And that's where that compassion, even when other people are maybe doing things that aren't so great or nice or kind, personally, we just don't get triggered anymore. And that's what I want for you all. And I'm going to end it on that note, is that like, I want you to be way sooner than me get to the place where like, you don't get triggered. Like, people are being people are on their own path. People are doing the best they can do. And if you can be like this solid beacon of like self-compassion and compassion for others and wisdom and curiosity, when you build that within yourself because of your own work with your food, your body, movement, your own nervous system, your own, you know how to ground yourself, people can't help but be better off from being around you. And that's what I wanted for my own recovery. I didn't care about like, oh, I love my body. That's great. What I wanted was that. You know, and that's hopefully that's where I feel like I'm at this point, and that's why I'm sharing this video too. Is like, it's been 22 years. I would say I've only been pretty well regulated the last 5 or 6, and before that I didn't even know that I wasn't sometimes. But things kept progressing and getting better and better. So that's what you want to see too. Is like, man, I can look back at 2 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 15, and be like, still learning, still getting more grounded. And I just want it to get better and better for you. So that's why I have the program. That's why I do these videos. And if they were helpful to you, just let me know. You know, and I'll keep doing them and keep kind of going deeper into all these different topics. So I'm going to sign off. If you have any comments, questions, things that you would love. Sorry, froze. That's why it goes. Actually, somebody was telling me happy birthday, so that's why it froze. But anyway, I would love to hear, if you want to put in the comments below, what has even learning about what's possible, how has that even shifted something in you that gives you hope? I want to hear about your hope today. I want to hear about your successes today. So I'll put something below too for me that I'm celebrating more, and I'd love to hear about yours too. I will be doing a live on Friday, and it'd be kind of a mix of a topic / live Q&A. So if you have questions, and if you can't be here, please, you can email me, tracybrownrd@gmail.com. And I will answer it live, anonymously, unless you want me to say your name, but I will answer those questions. So thank you so much for watching. I really, really appreciate you all. And, you know, those of you who I haven't ever met, I hope to meet you someday soon. So take care. Bye.